What is up, sports bettors? Welcome to Guys and Bets. Unfortunately, not going live. I know we had some tech issues on the Wednesday stream, so to nip that in the bud, we just thought we'd go live to tape, bring the folks at home a cleaner feed. As usual, Ninja here with Joe Osborne. Joe, you were riding the Marlins yesterday. Trevor Rogers Day cashes again. This guy's insane.
Yeah, that one did pretty good for me, but the old Oakland A's, picking them as a small underdog in Boston, didn't quite work out, did it? I think they were down, 6-0 at the end of the second inning, so at least I could stop paying attention to that one early. But, you know, that's the thing with baseball, right? There's so many games that the data doesn't always connect the dots, right? If it always did, then we'd all be millionaires here, making money off this thing. But that's certainly one of those situations where the data didn't add up to what the final result was.
No, and I mean, Sean Manaea, you can't go wrong, really, if you're going to back this guy day in, day out when he gets the ball for Oakland. And Boston just touched him up early. It's an outlier game. It's an outlier stat line for Manaea. You know, what can you do? I mean, talking about our picks yesterday on Quickies, I take the Astros over 5. They did everything right except cash runners. Like they stranded 12 or 13 runners in that game. I think they had guys on base every inning in this game. Ultimately, they win 4-3 over Texas in extra innings. But I mean, like, what more do you want? The Astros get guys on the bags, but, you know, at the end of the day, they just couldn't get it. Anyway, we got a show for everybody. Today we're talking MLB, we're talking a little NBA, we're talking a little UFC, Joe, we're talking a little Serie A on the weekend. My first Serie A pick here on the show in some time. But why don't you get us started here on the diamond? You're looking at the National League, the NL West leading San Francisco Giants on the road at Pittsburgh here. Joe, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, we got a beautiful spot here with San Fran. We're going to target the first 5-inning run line coming in at -120. And, of course, this means they need to be leading at the end of 5 innings to win the bet. Here's why I like San Francisco. This has been a serious hot spot for the Giants lately, as they've gone 14-3-2 over their last 18 in the first 5 innings. This makes them the second most profitable F5 bet in baseball. It's also been a great spot to back Giants starter Kevin Gausman. He has a 6-1 F5 record, thanks in part to a 2.06 ERA in innings 1 through 5. In 4 road starts this season, his ERA sits at 1.05, and he's held his Pirates lineup to a 4.66 OPS and 62 combined at-bats. And offensively, this isn't even close. Over the last 2 weeks, San Fran is 9th in OPS, while the Pirates are dead last. Give me the Giants, first 5 run line.
Yeah, quite the story here in the early days of the season. San Francisco, of course, atop that tough NL West division. Yeah, man, I mean, Gausman pitching really, really well. .876 whip, 1.97 ERA. The Giants are winning games when he gets the ball, and like you said, getting the job done in the first 5 innings there for San Fran as well.
Sometimes with Gausman, you know, he's always been average, I guess, maybe above average at some points, but then he's bounced around from a few teams here. Sometimes it's just about getting with the right coaches, right? And they can work on a few mechanical things, and it seems like they figured it out. I wouldn't call him a big-time ace by any means, but he's a pretty good guy at the top of the rotation, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And talking about being in the right place, look at the rest of the staff. I mean, DeSclafani, Aaron Sanchez, like a lot of these guys in that Giants rotation, all of a sudden getting the job done. So you're probably right. Like getting in the right mix, it's going to have an effect. And, Giants cashing checks as it stands right now. We'll see what happens at the Buccos today. I'm going over to an interleague game here, Joe. It's the New York Mets at the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays money line for me here. It was -160, bounced around, this morning, -150, now around -157. But yeah, Rays money line for me here. So the Rays had a nice 5-game winning streak earlier in the month, but then proceeded to lose 4 of their next 6 entering this series with the Mets. They dropped the first 2 against the Yanks while managing 1 run in 2 games, but to their credit, the Bats came alive last night. They beat up on Taillon, got a 3-hit game from Austin Meadows, homer from Arozarena, so hopefully that gives them a bit of momentum, a bit of bounce entering the weekend. 3-game hit performance moves Meadows above the Mendoza line, but there are still some fairly ugly numbers up and down that Rays lineup. And what is up with American League East teams at home? Each team is above 500 on the road, but only 2 have above 500 records at home, and they aren't really by much. But the Rays, 12-7 on the road, just 8-12 at home. They've got to start winning at home at Joe's favorite stadium if they want to keep up with the likes of the Red Sox, the Jays, and the Yanks, the teams above them. The 9-1 win last night was great, but you've got to keep that going. But what better way to string together a couple of dubs and get this series against the Mets off to a great start than by sending Tyler Glasnow to the hill. 39.5 K percentage, 2.37 ERA, 2.39 expected ERA, 2.8 FIP, 2.71 xFIP, 1.3 wins above replacement, 4-2 personal record, Rays 5-3 record in his games. A bit susceptible to the long ball, in recent starts, but the Mets have the second worst slugging in baseball. David Peterson gets the ball for the Mets. He's not been very good. Lasted just 1 2/3 in his last start. Mets do have a nice 7-gamer on the line tonight, but I will back Tyler Glasnow tonight at the Trop, Joe. Your favorite park?
Yeah, that place is an absolute dump, right? The Tropicana Field, by professional sports standards, probably one of the worst facilities in all of sports. As I have said it many times, I've seen better turfs on mini golf courses than I've seen at Tropicana Field. And of course, Rays fans might counter my Blue Jays don't even get to play in Toronto. I haven't played in Toronto for a while, but their spring training facility is better than Tropicana Field. That outhouse that they play at out in Buffalo is a better facility than the dump down in Tampa Bay. So that's all I have to say about that.
Let's go over to the NBA here, Joe. What's caught your eye from tonight's NBA board?
Well, the season winding down, and the Washington Wizards have proven themselves all season long as a true guys and bets darling. So we're going to target a real hot spot for them. They're taking on the Cavaliers. We're going to target the first quarter total, 57.5. I've been loving these bets lately. We're taking the over. Here's why I like this one tonight. This has been a serious moneymaker in Wizards games lately, as they've gone over in 12 straight first quarters. The last time these teams played on April 30th, they combined for 65 first quarter points. Both defenses have been pretty brutal lately. Over the last 10 games, Cleveland ranks 26th in opponent EFG percentage and 29th in points allowed per 100 possession. Washington, meanwhile, is allowing the second most first quarter points in the span. To each team's credit, they're getting to the free throw line a lot. They rank first and third in free throws per game over the last 10, so let's hope some dirty defense contributes to this total. Give me the first quarter over between the Cavs and the Wizards.
Let's go over to the pitch here now, and domestic leagues, clock ticking on those seasons. Some titles already clinched, some European places still up for grabs, and one of those teams that is looking to cement a place in Europe is Napoli. They are on the road at Fiorentina. It's the early Sunday game, I believe, and I'm going to go Napoli over 2 in this one, minus 110 here. For this bet, Napoli on a real nice run of form here. 10 wins, 3 draws, and just 1 loss in their last 14 league games. They put together some really dominant performances recently, hammering Udinese 5-1 thanks to 3.38 expected goals. Spezia 4-1 win away, 2.32 XG there. They racked up 2.91 XG in a 1-1 draw against Cagliari, 3.05 XG in a 2-0 win at Torino. Really good stuff from Napoli here to finish the season. And it helps because, like I said, they are looking to lock up a top 4 Champions League spot here. They enter the weekend 4th in the table, 1 point up on Juve, who play Inter on Saturday. 2 points back of Atalanta, who have Genoa away on Saturday as well. They'll be looking to capitalize on any slip-ups here or keep up with their neighbors in the table come Sunday morning. Napoli absolutely destroyed Fiorentina in the reverse fixture back in January, 6-0, thanks to goals from Demme, Lozano, Zielinski, Politano, and 2 from Lorenzo Insigne. They tallied 2.24 XG in that game. The last time they were in Florence, they won 4-3. This was back in August of 2019. Hasn't been the most comfortable of places for Napoli to go and get 3 points, but I will take my chances on them getting a couple goals here this weekend in Florence. All right, Joe, wrap things up here in the UFC. What's caught your eye on the card this weekend?
Yeah, this is an awesome pay-per-view here Saturday night. UFC 262, the vacant lightweight title will be on the line. A lot of debate for this one, and a lot of the action seems to be coming in on the underdog, Michael Chandler. And I like that because we're getting a great number on the guy, Charles Oliveira, minus 129. Here's why I like Charlie Olives on Saturday night. Oliveira is at the absolute pinnacle of his prime coming into this fight. It's been 3 years of total domination for the Brazilian that culminated in destroying Tony Ferguson back in December. I believe he is the more well-rounded fighter with more paths to victory. As for Chandler, there's no denying his talent, but I do think there's some question marks regarding just how good he is due to the level of talent he faced at the tail end of his Bellator run. I think we can all agree that there's a gigantic gap between the UFC's top 155ers and the likes of Benson Henderson and Sidney Outlaw. Chandler is extremely dangerous in the opening round of the fight, but if Oliveira gets off to a great start, Chandler could be in trouble. To conclude, I wasn't in love with the opening odds for the fight with Oliveira opening in the minus 160 ballpark, but with lots of action coming in on Chandler, I think we're getting a great number on Charlie Olives. Big fight Saturday night. Can't wait.
Charlie Olives, love the nickname. Anything else on that card, just purely out of curiosity from a betting perspective that you like?
I took Edson Barbosa, my favorite underdog on the card. I got him, I think it was plus 122 that he's up to now. He's taking on Shane Burgos, who, very dangerous fighter, but I would say a very defensively challenged fighter. I think Barbosa's looked pretty good at 145. He's 1-1. He should be 2-0 though. And I think his striking might be too much for Burgos to handle. So a plus 122 dog, really good spot there on the opening fight of the main card.
And speaking of dogs, of course, this is IMAX last week here with us. But normally we would have a tall can bet. Tottenham hosting Wolves this weekend in the Prem. Tottenham minus 190 on the three-way money line. Kind of like Wolves plus one, minus 110, the juice on that one. I mean, Tottenham, real nervy finish here. Arsenal all of a sudden breathing down their necks after beating Chelsea earlier this week. I believe they've got Villa. They've got Wolves, Villa. I can't remember the other team that they've got. Was it Leicester, maybe? Anyway, so tough spot here for Tottenham Hotspur. Kind of like the look of Wolves plus one in that spot. And Joe, you're rocking the Blue Jays hoodie there. I don't know if you watched the game yesterday, but Acuna goes down with the injury there, running out a ball down first base. What do you think of the Braves here moving forward as a potential fade without kind of their best offensive weapon? The Braves as a team haven't really been hitting. Acuna, of course, crushing the ball all season long. But moving forward, I'm not sure on the latest of Acuna here, but moving forward, got to like the Braves in a fade spot here. Not necessarily today. They're at Milwaukee, who themselves don't hit the ball very well. But Hauser on the bump for Milwaukee, minus 132. Drew Smyly for the Braves, plus 112. But moving forward here without Acuna, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Drew Smyly is a guy you're going to want to fade. But Atlanta is one of these teams, they've underachieved a little bit this season, especially versus my Blue Jays, who Blue Jays swept them twice. so far this season. But yeah, Atlanta, probably a team you're not going to find great value on all season, but maybe a good fade spot. They're not so good versus left-handed pitching. So those spots, especially in the first 5 innings. Meanwhile, their bullpen can't really be trusted. We got a long way to go, but they have underachieved. And, speaking of underachievers and overvalued, I'm seeing the Dodgers at minus 220 versus the Marlins. I know the Marlins aren't the best team in the world, but the Dodgers have stunk. So, that could be a pretty good spot there. I wonder how much money you'd be up if you faded the Dodgers in every single one of their games. You'd probably be doing pretty good, right?
Yeah, you would think so. The run differential is there for LA, but they've had trouble to date stringing together wins. And yeah, the Marlins counter with Alcantara plus 190, Kershaw on the bump for the Dodgers. Yeah, Marlins, like you pointed out, not the most potent offense. They are, I think, statistically one of the best teams with 2 outs. And as far as generating runs with 2 outs, but like Duvall's not hitting very well. They've been without Jazz Chisholm here, getting some clutch at bats from Rojas and Aguilar. But beyond that, Dickerson as well. But beyond that, the lineup doesn't generate a ton of offense.
Good bullpen. What's with these cheap ass bum teams who always have the great bullpen? I guess a good bullpen comes cheaply. Like, Tampa Bay is always going to have a good bullpen. Yep. Oakland's always going to have a good bullpen. The Cleveland Indians, these bum cheap teams always have a good bullpen. That's one thing you can count on them for.
Well, it's also the front end of that rotation as well. And if you can get 5 or 6 good innings from a Trevor Rogers, from an Alcantara, and then you go to that solid bullpen for 6, 7, 8, 9, or 7, 8, 9, whatever the case may be, you're going to generate some dubs. And we're seeing this more and more. Of course, offense down in baseball. But when you can bring out these random dudes from the pen that casually toss 99 or 100 or 101 on the radar, it's no wonder we're seeing offense down. And plus, with the ball now, you're getting more break on the breaking stuff, more movement on the 2-seamers and cutters and 4-seamers. There's no wonder offense is down here, man. Like the ball it's tough to hit, which makes what Acuna and what Trout, what these guys who are hitting, who are generating stats, the OPSs, the WRC plus. It makes them what they're doing even more ridiculous, really.
Yeah, rampant cheating throughout baseball among pitchers is what I would say is going on.
They got to figure something out if they want to address the lack of offense. Like some of these averages, I talked about it when I was capping the Rays game, but like Brandon Lau, sub 200. Austin Meadows just getting above 200 last night thanks to a 3-hit game.
I mean, pitchers are getting better, and I don't think we should fault them for that, but it's ridiculous that Major League Baseball, didn't they de-juice the baseballs a little bit coming into the season?
Exactly, and I think that's having an impact on pitching performance, on the break, and the hard stuff as well.
Yeah, what you do is you take little tiny pieces of sandpaper and you super glue them to your fingers so you can get better grip on the ball, and that will allow you to cheat, and then you'll do better as a pitcher. That's my tip for if there's any young pitchers looking for advice, watching this, that's what I would recommend.
We have seen some sick pitching numbers, and I'll point to that Cardinals-Brewers game yesterday, Flaherty against Burns. Real good pitchers duel there, and those are 2 of the better front end of the rotation guys in baseball as it stands right now. And I mean, for someone like me that does love the game, I'm not afraid of a solid pitchers duel, and that was one of them. But the long ball is the game's best asset, and if those offensive numbers are down, I don't know, man. Got to sort it out. If it's de-juicing the ball, not saying that is the problem, or that's the reason why we're seeing dominant pitching here. And you're right, pitchers are getting better. The science of the game has evolved. I don't know, man. It's the best currency the game has is the long ball. So we'll see what happens there. Anything? I mean, I know you haven't really looked. Any more NBA postseason thoughts here with playoffs right around the corner? Any sort of
Man, I'm looking forward. I know it was a shorter season, the NBA 72 games, but I think everyone can agree the regular season is normally 82 games. Do we really need that many games to determine who, the true contenders are and who the best teams are? Not really. And unfortunately, that's not going to change, and for good reasons, because there's a lot of money to be made off these regular season games that they throw out there. But, I still think people are sleeping on the Philadelphia 76ers a little bit, plus 325 to win the East. I don't mind that at all. I think that's a pretty good spot right there. I think the Nets might be overvalued. It will be interesting, no continuity is what I keep saying with Durant, Kyrie, and Harden, because I think they played fewer than 10 games together this season. Wow. So you're going to put them in a very intense playoff situation versus the likes of the 76ers and the Bucks. And Miami's playing good all of a sudden. We've been waiting on the Miami Heat to finally put it together. So they're getting hot, pun intended, at the right time of the season here. Over in the West, holy cow, what a complete and total crapshoot. That looks like who knows if the Clippers are just going to fall apart like they did last year. And then you have both the Jazz and the Suns. And I think one of those teams is the real deal. And the other one's probably going to be, like we see every couple seasons, a great regular season team that just flops come playoff time. So maybe it is one of those teams. And the Lakers a pretty big question mark here too, right? So LeBron just getting back into the mix here. So, Lakers still favored to win the West. I probably would agree with that, but they're going to have a tough draw, whether they be in the play-in or in the first round. So, the Western Conference, a total crapshoot, but I'm looking forward to the NBA playoffs here, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And in La Liga, I know if we were live, Jonathan Fernandez will be talking a little La Liga in the chat. Potentially a decent little spot there with Real Betis. They are at home to Huesca. I think every game is on Sunday. Minus 115 on that three-way money line. I believe they've recorded a lot of draws recently. Let me just bring up their results here. Oh, my Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 draws in their last 8. The 8th game was a win, but if you are a fan of betting the draw, plus 275 there. But they're looking to lock up a Europa League spot there. In the La Liga table. They played really, really well this season. A bit more consistency on the pitch as far as getting points. Minus 115 against Huesca could potentially be a decent spot there as well. Whatever you folks do with your bets tonight and this weekend, best of luck. You're going to want to follow Joe on Twitter at JTFOZ, myself at Chalk_Ninja. And what's the tip-off for the NBA playoffs there, Joe? What date does it start up? Do you know?
I think the play-in starts early next week. So they'll do the play-in rounds for, and of course, hopefully we get a chance to find a good spot on the Washington Wizards. Yeah. Looks like the Hornets are going to be in the mix. So a couple of guys in bet starting. So early next week, some real basketball with, real stakes at hand, too. Looking forward
absolutely. To it. And we'll dabble into some NBA playoff picks next week. Very exciting times here moving forward with the postseason with the NBA kicking off. So have a great weekend, folks. Apologies for the lack of a live stream, but if you tuned in Wednesday, you understand why. Bit of lag issues there, but catch you all next week. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the weekend, and best of luck with your bets.
Time for lunch!